What's happening, everybody? I'm Steve, and welcome back to Junk Drummer TV. And today we're going to delve into some possible divisive topics. I want to talk about a drummer's perspective, and maybe even more than that, a musician. There's a joke there. A musician's perspective on the Hollywood writers and actors strike. I got to be honest, as a drummer, we are uniquely capable of discussing the subject because as far as I can tell, the actors and the writers want to be paid better for streaming. I'm going to get into that. And they want to I guess, like block AI being used, I guess, too much in films. You know, we've seen AI characters. You've seen that one Star Wars movie, Rogue One, that had a character that was completely CGI. And I guess they're wanting to block the use of that. And I can't help but laugh in drummer. You know what I'm saying? A big part of it is making sure that actors and writers should get paid for the product that they helped make. Right. And I think we can all agree that that's probably something that is fair. But I got to tell you, it's kind of been like that for drummers and musicians largely for like a long time. So I'm having a hard time giving any fucks about Tom Cruise complaining about not making money on streaming, because I was in a band that was fortunate enough that over one quarter, we did like 50,000 streams. And I think we got, like $3. And I'm not joking. If you're a non-musician, you may think that I'm joking. Go look it up. It's like $3. We've been dealing with it forever, and no one has said anything about musicians' fair compensation. Man, we're going to get political today, I think. I think it's going to happen. I think there's no way around it. I grew up in a household that was a union household. Junk Drummer Senior was a union rep. I grew up with that shit. I grew up in a blue collar way. And they talk about things. They have this one word in the unions. They call it solidarity. And solidarity is, you know, we're all in this together. Now, you can not like unions or like unions. We're not going to comment on that. We're just going to talk about them the way that they operate. And back in the day, when one union would strike, unions in other industries would strike with them in solidarity. And that's how they were able to have power. And again, you can think how you want to about if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's a thing. And nobody gives a shit about the way that musicians and even the micro of that, drummers, get fucked when it comes to getting paid. Billy Corgan did a very famous interview where he talked about his band becoming jealous and negative towards him when he was getting the lion's share of the money because he wrote the songs. They performed on them, and I'm sure they had some points on the record. That means like a percentage of sales, but it was not going to touch what Billy Corgan made. And that plays out all through the history of music. And sometimes it's not even the guy who wrote the song or the band who wrote the song. It's the corporation, unfortunately. And that's what Hollywood is fighting. And that is a damned hard beast to fight against. Musicians, we just gave up. We just took it, right? Because when streaming services became a big part of our culture, nobody bands, local bands, it was very easy for you to upload and be, in a very real way, nationally and internationally distributed. Probably a part of this video could be called Lars Ulrich was right. Now, if you talk about drummers, dog, let me talk to you. Go look at Liberty DeVito. Liberty DeVito is the longtime drummer for Billy Joel. Billy Joel's had he's a diamond selling artist, which means he sold 100 million plus, right? There's not many of them. Michael Jackson, him, the Beatles, Garth Brooks, I even think. He was paid, I'm sure, well for his touring. And I would gather or guess that he got paid well for the recordings of some of those records. But once Billy Joel fired him, he's not living high on the hog. If you saw that one documentary that he's in that's about sidemen, Liberty DeVito has played drums on some of the most legendary popular hits in the history of pop music. And he's not living the way that you would think that he was. Actually, he's not living even close to that, unfortunately. Now, that doesn't take away from his contributions and how great of a man he is. What it does is it illustrates what the writers and adult pretenders are dealing with. And maybe big ups to them for like actually like striking. Their unions are obviously stronger. But if you talk about AI replacing your work, go back and talk to 1980s studio drummers, cats that were big in the 70s and the 80s. All those cats that are still around, the Steve Gadds, the Vinnie Colaiutas, they will tell you that the year that, is it the Syndrum, whatever the first drum machine was, drummers were losing their gigs immediately, right afterwards. Nobody shed a tear for the studio drummer. It's kind of hard for me to care, considering all of those circumstances when you add them up. Now, the people that I do feel the worst for with the writers and the actors strike are the workers, the people who work on the sets. The cats who are not making millions and millions of dollars, and I do not begrudge anyone to make $1. Trust me, we're capitalists around here. You got some real bad messaging from your crew. If you preach to us that, during the pandemic, you saved America because we turned to you for your entertainment. No, you're right that we did turn to you for your entertainment, and you got our minds off of a thing. But you didn't hug me like my mom or kiss me like my girlfriend. Settle the fuck down. I'm an artist, and I know that sounds pretentious, but I also know how pretentious us artists can be. Fran Drescher, I guess she's like the big wig for the Actors Guild or what have you. She did this speech that is fucking asinine and out of touch. And like, I don't know, the other day I bought a gallon of milk and a gallon of orange juice. It was almost $10. Maybe think about that. And then I'll maybe end it with this. If you're going to talk about solidarity within unions and you all wanting us as the plebeians, the flyover state inhabitants, the unwashed masses, if you want us to have your back, you may have to try to have our back. Because if you don't know, there was a pretty massive railroad union strike last year. I think it was last year. And, the government, whoever that is running the government came in and broke that strike and did not give the men who were striking much, or if anything, of what they want. I don't know the minute details. Man, I didn't hear Walter White talking about let's have the backs of these railroad workers who bring us food and our products and shit. I didn't hear him talk about that. So it's one of them things you have our back and we'll get your back. Let's be honest. Those assholes haven't had anyone's back but their own ever. I'm not saying they're bad people, but they ain't helping anyone else inside of a union structure. So I don't know. I've recorded many songs, and I only own copyright on, I think I've recorded 18 records, and I own copyright on 3 of those. Everything else, I was paid person, and I was paid while playing live, and I was a member of those bands. One band wrote us, 4. I've got 4. Because I did have a band where I wrote all the songs. So I own all the copyright on that one, but all the ones don't. My point is, I understand the importance of having a contract that ensures that you get paid. I'm going to do this one story because I think this is a feel-good story. And it's a shout out to my old lead singer, Christopher. When my band recorded this record, he very graciously, I might add, gave us half credit, right? So he got the lyrics and then he gave the music to the band. Now we did split that 5 or 6 ways because of a big band. Yeah, 6. But he at least gave us a piece. Now, this came into play later on because my home state bought that song and used it in the national campaign for their tourism board. And our song was the backup song, and I was even in the commercial. If you knew where I was from, you could probably go find it on YouTube. And because I owned a piece of that song, I got amount of money, which was one of the bigger paychecks I ever earned. I can tell you that I never played live for near the amount that I got for selling that song. So understand that part. I don't know. Maybe I'll leave this on a black pill. AI is going to win, bro. Just like hold out as much as you possibly can, but inevitably AI, in a very short amount of time, we now have AI influencers. We have AI YouTubers, you know what I'm saying, that are getting way more views and subs than this meat bag is getting. So, like, you know, I'll leave you with Bob Dylan. They may win, but we ain't got to join them.